The New York Times has one of the most watched book sections on the planet. So when they come out with a book list like the 100 notable books of the year, it becomes big news on its own. Since we're in another best of cycle, several lists have come out from other English language news sources, like Publishers Weekly and the Washington Post. We'll likely see more and more lists soon as the year goes on. This is a reaction to the New York Times Notable Books of the Year list. I've reviewed it and I have reactions. We're not going to look at every book. Instead, we can make a note of a few books here and there to discuss. And interestingly, the NYT has an interactive reading list that allows you to compile want to read and have read books in separate lists. So at the end of this video, stay tuned to see a final count of my have read and want to read files. And here's a hint. My want to read is way longer than my have read. From what I understand, the New York Times will come out with a separate best of list. I believe this will be a shorter list. So I'm curious to know if they will specifically pull from this list or not. And please, if you have any of these answers, feel free to place your thoughts in the comments below. Your constructive insights are almost always appreciated. By the way, welcome to Tilting at Tomes, where you will find book and specifically fiction-related content. If you have a chance, please like and subscribe to support this channel. On this list are exactly 50 fiction books and 50 nonfiction books. I'm going to stick mainly to the fiction books and just pull a few of the nonfiction books out. Before we move on to the list, and I have it just here on my left, I want to note some just overall impressions of it. So first of all, the list has some notable omissions. For example, I don't see too many of this year's award winners here. I do see a few, but they seem to be outnumbered by the New York Times' own selections. I'm not saying that that's good or bad, but it is notable about the notable list. Number two, the list is from various genres, so that may explain some of the omissions and some of the selections that they have. This list does not necessarily focus on the best ever of the year. They seem to be wildcat selections from all over the place. I don't know too much about the history of this list, so perhaps this is a feature. Number three, they have a decent mix of well-known and lesser-known authors, but the list seems to stick mainly to the big dominant publishers. Number four, not all, but a lot of these authors have books that seem to be on the cusp of awards, but they didn't make it for one reason or another. I'm thinking specifically of The Hounding by Zenobie Purvis, The Director by Daniel Kehlmann, and Heart the Lover by Lily King, and even Buckeye by Patrick Ryan. All of these books have received lots of acclaim. For example, Buckeye is on lots of book club lists, and it was named the top book by Amazon. I'm not sure if the cusp books, again, are a feature. They very well could be, but this is just how the list seems to have gone. Number five, I didn't see too many surprises on the nonfiction list. Number six, overall, this is a good list, but I'm not quite sure about its focus. It kind of seems all over the place. Notable is a fantastically generic and non-committal word. Okay, finally, here are the books. Number one, the first book on the list is Angel Down by Daniel Kraus. It's described as a World War I horror fiction novel, and it's about American soldiers sent into no man's land, which is the deadly field between the trenches in World War I, and they go to investigate what's called a screech. Ooh. And they discover a fallen angel. Skipping down a bit, there's Buckeye by Patrick Ryan. It's historical fiction about generations of the family during the mid 20th century. Then there's Buffalo Hunter Hunter, which I personally enjoyed as a historical fiction novel. I'll be honest, the horror elements lost me at a few points. Next, I've heard good things about V.E. Schwab's Bury Our Bones in Midnight Soil. And I hear that it's pretty entertaining. I've seen Death Takes Me by Christina River Garza on a lot of featured bookstore shelves. The list has these comparisons. So it says that this is for fans of The Tree by Percival Everett, The Savage Detectives by Roberto Bolaño, and Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor. Those are big shoes to fill, but along with the description, the book makes me think this will be a detective novel with some experimental literary elements. I am excited about The Director by Danielle Keelman. In fact, I've wanted to pick it up for some time, and it is a fiction novel about a real director named G.W. Pabst. He has a Jewish background and he goes back to Germany to direct movies under the Nazis. Moral conflicts indeed. Skipping down a bit, there's Flesh by David Zaloy. That one's on here. It won a Booker recently. Okay. A Gentleman's Gentleman. On the cover of this book, a man is dressed in what appears to be either early Victorian or Regency era clothing. I'm not up on the clothing of either of those eras, so correct me if I'm wrong. This one is about a trans man who attempts to find a wife while keeping his secret from London society. A Guardian and a Thief by Megha Mujumdar. And I remember this one was on the National Book Award list. I read the first couple of chapters of it, and I will be picking it up again. I remember the prose style being very interesting, but it needed perhaps a little bit more maturation. The syntactical pattern of her sentences tended to be a little bit inconsistent, which impacted the kind of rhythm of the narrative's tone. But The Perfect Novel is a myth, and so far, it seems to be a great book. I was initially unsure about Heart the Lover by Lily King. That is on here. Has anyone ever read this who could offer recommendation on it? If you would please just drop something in the comments below if you like it, if it's any good. The list has a few surprises so far in it. I think most of us probably love to review these lists to get recommendations we may not have already had, and it is providing on that front. These lists are also very popular as holiday lists, so I may pick up a few of these books for family and friends. Then we move on to Heartwood by Amity Gage, Hollow Spaces by Victor Suthamanant. Scrolling a bit more, The Hounding by Zenobi Purvis. This one has had some mixed reviews. I think the expectations of it were pretty high, but my mom read it and loved it, and she passed it along to Julie, and we'll see if she likes it too. I anticipate at some point getting to that book. Okay. How to Dodge a Cannonball by Dinard Dale. I read this one over. It's listed as a Civil War satire. I don't know this one, but from the description, it sounds pretty funny. Some viewers may be interested in Isola by Allegra Goodman. It's been on multiple lists, and the description says that the protagonist gets abandoned on an island with her lover, and she's forced to live in poverty after living a life of privilege. Oh my, it looks a little saucy, and I imagine there'll be probably some light skin chafing. Okay, skipping some here, we have some expected entries. R.F. Kuang, Joe Hill, Kieran Desai. I've read some excerpts of Sonia and Sunny. That is the loneliness of Sonia and Sunny. I don't have a strong impression of the book yet, other than it's pretty long. I love the cover design and its shininess. Definitely triggered something in my lizard brain that said, "Ooh, shiny, pick it up." Now, I don't know a lot of these. Lonely Crowds by Stephanie Wambugu, Perfections by Vincenzo Latronico, Playworld by Adam Ross, The Remembered Soldier by Enjet Danji. That one is another World War One setting. A soldier is released from the asylum and is picked up by a strange woman who claims to be his wife. I love World War One era history, so I'm going to investigate that one a bit further and see if it's worth picking up. Again, if anybody has read that one, please do let me know. It's one that I'm interested in. Another one that I'm interested in is Shadow Ticket by Thomas Pynchon. I am a Thomas Pynchon fan from way back. I read a lot of his novels. And the only thing that is holding me back from this one, I'm worried that this could be a little bit of a letdown. It looks like a throwback noir with some of his usual Pynchon-esque narrative elements. Let me know if you've read this one and put your recommendations in the comments. The Sisters by Jonas Hassan Kamiri. This one was on the National Book Award long list. It's a family saga with the brother of two sisters at the center. He's the narrator, in fact. He follows his sisters' lives from afar, and there's a shock revelation in it, from what I understand. That's in the description, by the way. I may have to check that one out at some point. Another one, The Slip by Lucas Schaefer. This one won the Kirkus Prize. Kirkus, for viewers who don't know, is they are somewhat of a notorious book review magazine. They're specifically for bookstores and librarians, and they're meant to help these two groups select new books. It's a very well respected and very well known review source, but they can be a bit picky and sometimes, at least in the past, a little bit harsh. If it won the book award, I trust them. I trust their review. I've read a little bit of The Slip already, and I want to again investigate this further. It's about a teenage boy, and it seems to travel through time, actually. So I don't know if it's all about a teenage boy. And he trains under a boxer, and he eventually falls for it says here, a Russian sex operator, and then he disappears. Now, the situation is not funny, but the description has a odd combination of events. That part is interesting. We are now in the middle of the list, and we're getting to more mainstream expectations. I don't know all of these books, but I recognize a lot of them. Suzanne Collins is on here, and she has a book, Sunrise on the Reaping. I thought the series was done. Is she keeping it going? Here's a surprise. Two Smithereens by Rosalind Drexler. It says that it's a reprint from 1972, and it's about the world of women's wrestling and the art world. That sounds like enough to be worth a check. I may pick that one up from the library, okay? And the Tokyo Suite by Giovanna Madalasso. She's a Brazilian author who explores the country's contemporary class division. Brazil is the 7th largest country in the world, so perhaps more attention should be paid to some of these themes. Another interesting one on here. This is the first time that I'm hearing of this, but the description sounds interesting. It's Trip by Amy Barrowdale, and it's described as a transcendentally weird novel. about a mother and a son adrift. One is adrift in the afterlife, and the other is adrift in the South Atlantic. They had me at weird. This one is going on my want to read list. We are already getting near the end here. I've skipped a number of books, so if you're following along, you know which one I've skipped. We have Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fato. That one is on here. This looks pretty creepy. The description says that it starts out with the narrator saying, "All the people in this book will die." That's always a good hook to begin a book. Then we have Two Expected Books, We Do Not Part by Hong Kong, and What We Can Know by Ian McEwan. You know, I didn't like The Vegetarian, so I am kind of turned off of Hong Kong's books. But if anyone watching this knows and likes this book, I would like to hear from you. I also like Ian McEwan. I read recently his book about AI, and this one by Ian McEwan, What We Can Know, seems to have gotten some mixed reviews. Unless things change, I may not get to this book, although I'm not opposed to it. And that's it for fiction. What do you think of the list so far? I think I'm going to hold my judgment for maybe just a few moments. I would like to review some of the nonfiction very, very quickly because I have read some of these books. In nonfiction, I read Abundance by Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson. The positive side of my review will tell you that it reveals possibility in our government, and I did like it for that. So, for example, in COVID, when we wanted to get something done, we actually got it done, and they reveal that. The critical side of my review will tell you that the writing and research was very rushed, and they obviously wanted to get it published while people were still smarting from the 2024 presidential law. I also read a lot of tech-related nonfiction because I wanted to be more literate about what's going on with AI and things like that. I read Apple in China by Patrick McGee, Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams, and Empire of AI by Karen Wow. I only read an excerpt of that last one, but I did read in full those other two. Two others I will call out for future reads. If anyone remembers, there was a Key and Peele skit about this subject. Now, the book is called Girl on Girl by Sophie Gilbert, and it looks how popular culture earlier in this century sought to convince a generation of young women that self-objectification was actually liberation. The second book that I'm saving for the future is One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against It. That's a mouthful. It's by Omar El Akkad. It looks like a must read. It has won the Nonfiction National Book Award. Okay, so one more. I see that James Baldwin's biography by Nicholas Boggs is on here. I'm going to put that on my must read list in the future. I said that I would give you my final tally of have read and want to read list. The have read list is nothing to write home about, but here it is. There are just a couple of books on here. Then here is the much comically larger want to read list. I'll never apologize for wanting to read more books. I think overall that a healthy and long book list is good for the soul because it is humbling. It reminds us of what else is left to learn, which is always a lot. And it gives us a sense of the limits of human knowledge and perception. It's also it's plain fun to look forward to some of these books. The New York Times notable books has a good list of books, particularly in the middle. I wish they would include a fuller complement of independent publishers. The list covers a lot of genres, but doesn't do any one subject particularly well. However, it is a list of books, and we all love lists of books. This has been Tilting at Tomes. I'm Ben. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe.